I was a feminist, not only a social media feminist, but a militant. A woman who marched, organized, who screamed in the streets that our bodies are not commodities. And yet, late at night, when the anxiety came up, I would find myself in front of a screen watching exactly what it condemned. Women being used, women without voices, women reduced to objects. And the worst part, my body responded, not with pleasure, because actually I know that now, but with something deeper, hidden, hurt. Something that felt like relief and shame, twisted together so tightly I couldn't tell them apart. For years, I carried this secret as a stone in my chest. I thought I was the only feminist in the fucking whole world with this issue, with this contradiction burning inside of me. But I wasn't. And today I'm gonna tell you what I found in the other side of this shameful part of my life. What porn was really giving me, what it stole from me, and how I finally, truly took my body back. My body, my soul, my ethical boundaries. This is not a story about morality, not at all. This is a story about freedom, my freedom, and maybe yours too. Welcome to Brazilian Pleasure Diaries. I'm Paula Aparecida, your somatic coach and therapist, here to guide you in bringing back orgasm, vitality, and the raw, pulsating rhythm of life inside of you with a true Brazilian swag. My mission to help you cut through the noise, reconnect with your body's ancient wisdom, and reclaim your pleasure as a radical act of self-empowerment, of real empowerment. Because believe me, if I can do it, you can do it too. Before we dive deep into this often taboo topic, meu amor, meu amorzinho, do me a favor. If you're ready to explore the revolutionary power of pleasure, even its shadows, please hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to this podcast. Share this episode with a friend who needs a little bit more flavor, mais sabor, mais gostosura na vida. Probably there's a person very close to you who is also addicted to porn, a person who hates it, a person who doesn't know what to do. So now it's the time to share this episode with everybody you know, because this person might be as shameful as I was. This person is not going to tell you about it. So in order to help them, you don't know who they are, share this episode. Let's break this taboo. Let's help these people over there. And also, please leave a comment telling me what is your experience with porn. How do you see it in your life? Your engagement gives power to this movement, gives power to pleasure, gives light to this topic. Today, we embark on a journey that is deeply personal. I procrastinated a lot to record this video. I was supposed to do this like 3 days ago, and I did a lot of non-important things in order to fill my time and not be able to be here with you. And I'm a Leo person. Yeah, I don't know if you believe in astrology. There are many different kinds of astrology. Now I'm talking about Greek astrology. My sun sign is Leo. Usually Leo people, they have really hard time on being vulnerable, on telling people that they are human. They make a lot of mistakes. So this is not easy for me. But I know that talking about this is not only deeply personal, but yet profoundly political. And political not in terms of political parties or elections, your candidates. No, I'm talking about politics as the domain of the polis, yeah, in ancient Greek, the domain of the city, the social, the community life. So this is a journey into the shadows of desire, into a space many of us inhabit, but rarely speaks about, the world of pornography. This isn't just about what we watch. It's about what watches us back, what shapes our desires, and how it can subtly, insidiously disconnect us of our true erotic power. This is the first in a three-part series, a deep dive into the porn trap, reclaiming your erotic power. And today I'm opening up with my own secret shame, my journey as a feminist addicted to abusive porn. My story with porn began with simple curiosity, like many. I was a teenager, the internet, a new frontier, opening up a world of bodies, of sex, of me doing stuff I shouldn't do. But what started as an exploration soon became a problematic pattern. It wasn't really about daily consumption, but about how and why I was using it. And I'm not talking that porn is a good thing, is a right thing in terms of women and men who had to be actors of their own false pleasure. I'm talking about how I myself dealt with this and what was the problem with me. When anxiety would strike, personal conflict, a college deadline, any moment of discomfort, if I was there in front of my notebook or in front of a computer, I would instinctively turn to porn. It became an unconscious escape, a quick, fleeting release of tension. But it always left me empty, even sad. A stark contrast to the genuine joy and connection I found in real sexual intimacy. It was a small, a diminished pleasure. Today, I even don't put this into the pleasure stockpile, but I'll talk about this later. It was a mere shadow, a very small shadow of what true erotic connection offers. I was, in essence, training myself, my body, to seek pleasure from a screen, disconnecting from my own internal rhythm and authentic desire. Actually, I wasn't really training my body. I wasn't really using my body. I wasn't really using my senses. I was projecting. I was avoiding and somehow denying the real experiencing of touching, of smelling, denying my senses. When I was a teenager, I thought it was normal. I didn't realize it was an issue. But when I started having sexual intercourses, I remember finding it strange. It was like never truly pleasurable. As I started being a sexual person, even dating, I was soon tagged as a very sexual person, a person who really enjoyed sex. But this addiction to porn, it wasn't that. And I say this because we usually see men who are nerd and virgin and get addicted to porn. And people say the reason is they cannot have sexual intercourse. This is the way they deal with their sexual energy. It was not my case. This was an unconscious place, a place that filled me with shame, that made me sad. I didn't like what I was doing, especially knowing what porn represented from the perspective of oppression for the women involved and from the perspective of my own desensitization. I would tell myself, this doesn't give me much pleasure, but then anxiety would hit and I would open another video. It was a very small release of tension, not an orgasm. And even back then, when I had no experience, no knowledge about Neo-Tantra, about the orgasmic power, I could sense that this is not an orgasm. This is something else. And then the sadness would get me. Unlike real sex, which made me happy after it. But the porn left me feeling strange, off. It was a search for a quick fix, an escape. But it became a common thing. Sometimes could even be daily. I was training myself to respond to any internal discomfort by seeking this external fleeting pleasure. And the most painful truth, actually, with porn, I was unconsciously revisiting my own childhood trauma. The specific kind of porn I was drawn to was not necessarily really violent, but got scenarios where women were deeply submissive, treated as objects without voice or agency. And this was a mirror to the profound wounds of sexual abuse I experienced as a child. My genitals, which should have been a source of pleasure and power, became a place of submission, a reflection of that early violation. I didn't know back then I was mirroring a previous abuse, but I knew as a feminist what submission, what being treated as an object, what being treated as a doll means. And this was an almost unbearable contradiction for me. A feminist militant. How could I, who fought for women's liberation, be drawn to something that so clearly exploited and dehumanized women? I felt like a fraud, a hypocrite. I avoided conversations about porn. I was creating a mental block, even distancing myself from other women who dared to discuss that. This internal war between my ethics, my politics, and my body was exhausting. It was keeping me from my true power. I was spending my energy into deal with this inside of me. The main lie I told myself it was to pretend nothing was happening. But there was a huge conflict, and this constant internal conflict, this feeling of being wrong or sinful in a political sense, was a heavy burden. I was drawn to porn where women were submissive, where they were depicted in abusive situations, demonstrated that men were in power, dominating them, and they had no will, no desire. They were like dolls tossed around. And I remember thinking, caralho, mano, this is so fucked up. I don't even like this in real sex. Even though I knew I had difficulty asserting myself sexually, I didn't like this dynamic. And I think this made me question, what the hell is going on? Actually, I was training myself to associate my own body's pleasure with this dehumanizing spectacle. It was a distorted pleasure, a diminished pleasure that conditioned me to a smaller way of being, a smaller way of expressing myself, a smaller way of experiencing orgasm. I was revisiting this past, seeing these porn videos, and my body, in its attempt to survive to trauma, was transforming it into this perverse pleasure. It was a small, distorted form of pleasure that kept me in a loop of shame and disconnection. Looking back, the thought and feeling that hit me hardest when I found myself consuming porn as a feminist was that I was a fraud. It felt like a political sin, a betrayal of everything I believed in. And this feeling was so strong that even made me question my identity as a feminist. And not only made me question, actually, if I remember, it took me a lot of time to identify myself as a feminist. I was organizing women, I was marching, I was reading the stuff, I was doing everything, but I couldn't say I am a feminist, because it felt like, no. When the topic of porn came up, I would get uncomfortable, awkward. I would pretend this wasn't my issue, avoiding the conversation, because I knew if I revealed my secret, people would judge me, would realize what fraud I was. I felt like a hypocrite, participating in an industry that exploits, oppresses, subjugates, and sickens women. And not only women, also men. I was giving audience to a type of objectification that condemns all of us, that teaches men to treat us like objects or even to believe they can abuse us. It was a terrible feeling, like I was crazy, incapable of dealing with myself. It was as if there was a monster inside of me, threatening to take over, and I kept lying to myself, pretending this wasn't happening. I remember a specific incident that solidified this feeling. I was a Portuguese teacher in a public state school, and one of my students' mothers was a sex worker. Around the same time, we were holding a union election, the teacher union's election. And the union's street was full of brothels. The union bureaucracy who was against us, the newcomers, the left-wingers, wouldn't let us to get into the building, but we needed to be there at night. So we were on the street, inside of our cars, and also needing to use a restroom. the sex workers with such kindness, let us use theirs. Inside, I saw a woman with a terrible look on her face. Tired, sad, like her life was a mess. But the moment she stepped out from the room, she transformed into this seductive, sexy character, dancing and calling out. It was so heavy. It was so heavy for me. I looked at her and thought, how can this be? What violence is this? To have to pretend you're feeling pleasure when you're not. Caralho, que merda. This is so fucked up. And I questioned what I was part of. This experiencing, seeing the raw reality of exploitation and the performance of pleasure deeply impacted me. It made me realize that my own consumption of porn, even in its less explicit forms, was contributing to this very system, this very dehumanization. This isn't just a personal struggle, it's a political one. The porn industry, this terrible industry, commodifies our sexuality. It takes something divine, cosmic, magical, our capacity of deep connection and energy creation, altered states of consciousness, and turns it into something trivial, banal, stupid. It's a tool to control our expression of pleasure through our traumas. For the performers, it means depression, anxiety, disembodiment, re-experiencing heavy violence on a daily basis. For the viewers, it's an addiction to dopamine, an incomplete excitation, a diminished, controlled pleasure that disconnects us from our bodies and from real sexual connection, even a connection with ourselves. It teaches us that sex is a performance, a quick release of tension, rather than a profound act of discovery, investigation, and connection. It's a small, quick jolt compared to the power of a hydroelectric plant. Yeah, it's incomparable. Yet we get addicted into this trash, this fast and dirty pleasure, because it's so bad, it needs to be over quickly. The porn industry transforms sexuality, which is a sacred thing. And when I say sacred, it's not like in the moralistic sense, in the romantic sense, but in the sense of magic, of power. And we lose our power. We lose this magic. And in doing so, it causes very serious problems. And I want to tell you again about the performers, because when I say disembodiment, this is very heavy. When you dissociate in that situation, it means you have to detach from your body. And that happens naturally when we humans go through traumatic situations. Automatically, we try to leave our bodies to not feel the pain. So to try to leave your body, to not feel that sexual connection itself, or to pretend you have one, is a process of illness, of preventing your presence, your deep connection to yourself. I'm going to tell you about the watchers. This dopamine addiction to porn is training you to a kind of excitation that is incomplete. You're not going to learn to come, to really have an orgasm. You're going to unlearn this. I'm not talking about unlearn from your mind. You're going to unlearn your body to do it. And also, you're being controlled by a story of a porn. You're not going to realize that you have all this orgasmic energy with yourself. Porn prevented me from connecting with my own energy, making me addicted and dependent on it. It makes men and women no longer know how to have sex, teaching that a performance is sex when it's not. As I told you before, a sexual act is an act of discovery, of immersion, of deep investigation into yourself and or into the other person, of connection, of entering the eye, of unspeakable pleasure. And porn is a quick release of energy through the head, disconnected from your real senses, your body. And why do we naturalize this? If people are addicted, if they are disconnected from the real pleasure, what is happening? What was happening to me? I'm going to talk about this in the next episodes, because this is not the episode to go deep into what porn really means. But I will just tell you something. This is not pleasure. It's domestication. It's control. It's the castration of a deep, real pleasure. Deep topic, isn't it? Meu amor. meu benzinho. It's been a journey for me too. It's not easy to talk about it. And I usually laugh when I'm in strange situations. This is a cope mechanism. So I know it's not funny, but for me, it's easier to laugh and talk to you about it. I need to make you a question. Is your body starting to pulse somehow when you listen this raw truth? If so, don't keep it to yourself. Please hit that subscribe button. Rate this episode. Review it. Please give me a comment, say something, and share this episode with someone you think needs to hear it. And actually with people you don't feel they need it. Because as I told you so, I, as a feminist, is she addicted to porn? Of course not. And I was. So how many people around you have the same issue? Help them. Share this episode right now. Let me tell you something. There wasn't one single aha moment that made me quit. Instead, it was a gradual process supported by a rich life outside of porn. My relationships, my political activism, my work, my community. These anchors prevented me from fully drowning. But the real transformative shift came when I began to develop my capacity of real pleasure, my orgasmic potency, through practices of Neo-Tantra and others. When I started feeling really deep pleasure, I could detach myself from that quick and fast release of tension, and I could actually see what it really was. Not see, I could feel this is not pleasure. This is something else. Do I need pleasure? I'm gonna give me one. It was about returning to my body, learning to feel without stories, without the performance, without the expectation of a specific outcome. It was about starting to feel gostosura, tesão, delícia, pleasure, and orgasm in myself, within myself, and for myself. This practice began to heal dissociation, allowing me to distinguish between relieving trauma and experiencing deep, authentic pleasure. My body, once a battleground, became a source of truth. Now, when I encounter these images of submissive women, my body doesn't respond with arousal. It responds with disgust, with sadness. My body closes. My body is no longer at war with my values. This return home, this feeling of being truly myself, knowing and feeling who I am, not just intellectually, but somatically, is revolutionary. It's about learning to perceive when you are reliving a story, a trauma, the past, and when you're truly feeling pleasure here in the present. It's about breaking free from automatic reactions, from the patterns of conflict and sadness that trauma can imprint. It's about turning off that automatic switch, no longer functioning from the place of conditioned response. You stop pretending, you stop deceiving yourself that you're feeling pleasure. If I turn this into politics, it feels like I learn something really important: how to step out of this sadistic, masochistic society that teaches us that love can be expressive through violence. When I learned this from inside out, with my body, with my emotions, this old trauma lost part of its power, a huge part. It started not to make sense. I became dry, without tesão, without any excitement, any excitation. And when I see porn now, it brings me confusion, strangeness, because I am conscious, I am connected. I am empowered. This is not mental, it's physical, it's energetic, it's corporal. Feeling all of this in your body is fundamental. And this is the work I do, helping people feel this deep, vital, sexual, orgasmic energy within them. And if you want to feel this energy, it doesn't matter where you are in the whole world. If you have internet, if you're online, talk to me. I can help you. It will be a delight to do it. Amazing. For your home pleasure this week, a simple yet profound action. Perform a daily body scan. Take 5 to 10 minutes each day to lie down or sit comfortably. Close your eyes and bring your awareness to different parts of your body, from your toes to your head. Notice any sensations: warmth, tingling, tension, spaciousness. Just observe without judgment. Breathe into each area. This is your first step towards dismantling this dissociation and reclaiming your body as a source of authentic pleasure, not just in your genitals, but throughout your entire being. This is how you start to feel what is truly yours. If my story resonated with you, if you recognize patterns of diminished pleasure and you see that subtle ways of porn might be impacting your life, know that you're not alone and there is a way out. This journey of reclaiming your body, your pleasure, your power is possible, is real, and I'm here to guide you. I invite you to book a discovery session with me. It's a safe, confidential space where we can explore together what is alive in your body and how you can begin your own path to authentic, revolutionary pleasure. The link to schedule is in the episode description, and it's also in the bio of Brazilian Pleasure Diaries. And remember, this is just the beginning of our deep dive into porn. In the next episode, we explore the impact of porn in men and women's sexuality. We're going to talk about research. We're going to talk about patients. We're going to go through in it. How and why porn is killing people's pleasure and even erections. Don't miss it. Last but not the least, please share this episode. Let's overcome this taboo. Let's help people over there. And also remember to subscribe, to hit the like button, and to tell me your ideas. Talk to me. I will read and answer all of your comments. Okay? Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep pulsing, keep living, keep revolutionizing. Direto do Brasil. Beijo. Até a próxima.